Hey, Akash, can you hear me?
I guess now it's
Yeah, I can hear you now. Fantastic. How are you, my friend?
I'm great.
And amazing that you're wearing the colors as well.
Yeah, I'm fully prepared because football is an occasion for me, so I'm always prepared and my room is decorated a bit. So I have many more jerseys too at a point of time, but now I have only a few which we shifted.
All right. Brilliant. No, loving the shirts behind Champions League, and fingers crossed you can put that shirt that you're wearing there as well as part of the Champions League group next season.
That's for sure. That will happen actually. I fully believe that we'll obviously secure the top 4 spot, but I expect a bit more.
I'm glad you're confident, because being a Leicester fan for all the years I've been is always you don't know until it's actually done and dusted.
We are pretty much like the last season where we were so dominant throughout the season, and then
the restart didn't help us. I mean, the fact that the players came back and they weren't fully prepared, and we had injuries as well, so you had to play a few of the kids, so that didn't help us. But this time is slightly different. We're getting a few players back at the crucial time, so yeah, big. But we're going to talk about obviously how you got into football in Delhi, and obviously your passion for Leicester, how it came about. I'm just waiting for my co-host Nevin to join us. Nevin is based in Kerala. You'll have to check his channel out. I'll tell him to share that as well. He does a lot of football stories. He does stories for the Premier League India channel as well.
All right. That's great.
So he's had a couple of supporters in there from Man City and Arsenal, and we'll have to see if we can persuade him to do one on you. Are you a member of the WhatsApp group?
Yeah, I am.
Oh right, okay. Have I not recognised you then?
Okay. Actually, I write for Boxes of Leicester, and you might have seen me post some articles.
Oh, is that you?
Yeah.
Oh wow, fantastic! Oh, amazing. Okay, you'll have to share that as well on the channel and on this channel. And anytime you've got anything like that, just forward it to me, and I'll put it on our Twitter and social media as well, so people can have a look. And you can write for us as well. We've got a website we've just started, so that'll be good. Yeah. No, you can take over the website. I don't have time for it. Okay. Let's see if we can get Nevin in, and then we'll get the show rolling. Just messaged me to say he's logging on, so he shouldn't be too far away. Alright, okay, so why didn't I recognize you from the chat then? Oh, CFC India fans. Are you one of the admins on there?
I'm not an admin, but I don't post very often because I have uninstalled WhatsApp due to their privacy policy. So it's in my PC.
All right.
And I'm not a regular, but it comes sometimes.
Okay, because I was really surprised. I've been doing this show for about 2 years now with Nevin, and always crying out for Leicester fans in India, because every time I interview somebody or speak to somebody, they're one of the top 6 fans, and it gets a bit boring. And I always mention the fact that I'm a Leicester fan, but I'm glad there's a good number now. It's really, really good. I did put the offer out to them that we'll get some of the. I know Matt Piper, who does the commentary here, and Stringer, who does the match commentary as well on the local radio station. Get them on to speak to you guys, but we'll see if we can make it happen in the summer. It'll be good.
Did you watch the ISF final yesterday?
Yes, yeah, it wasn't a bad game actually. It's the first season I've been able to watch it. I've only covered it on the show for 2 seasons. Last season it was a big learning curve, but this year I watched quite a few games, and Nevin is the expert on that one. But we'll talk about that on the show. We had Rohan Sharma, the owner of Orisha.
Okay, okay.
We did an interview with him last week, which is really, really good. He supported the show a couple of times. So, where's Nevin? What time is it in India? Is it 4 o'clock?
It's 4:02.
Yeah, he should be joining us soon. Having issues logging on, but he should be with us. I told him you're coming on the show, but I didn't tell him you're a Leicester fan. It's going to be a nice surprise for him.
Talking about Leicester initially was that they won the season, but nobody knew in our country who they were. So,
How long have you
Why-
been supporting? Oh, here he is.
Hi. Sorry.
Hello, how are you doing?
All good. Is it noisy? Is it fine?
No, it's fine. It's fine. I can hear you. You okay?
Yeah.
Are you?
I'm in the middle of a 3-week long journey.
Yeah, I'll talk about that later after the show. All right, that's a big commitment on your part. But Akash, welcome. This is Nevin, my co-host and partner. Nevin, this is Akash. I didn't want to tell you more about
Hi,
him, but
Akash.
he's given away by his colours.
Oh God.
hello, Nevin.
Yeah. Leicester fans.
I found one.
I actually know somebody else in Kerala as well.
Yeah. But on the back of this, I found quite a few, amazingly, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But if you could, we'll start the show. Ready?
Yeah, all good. Hi, Akash.
Hi, Nevin. So, are you a Kerala fan or a Odisha fan?
I am a Kovalam fan. There's a local football club which I support.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't. Yeah, I just collect all the jerseys. I don't like support any of these teams.
Me too.
Yeah.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Really good to have you on the Tessie Sportscast. As always, amazing support with the downloads on the podcast. So I can't thank you enough again. Hope you keep enjoying the show. And as always, I think the main reason is because of the person that's with me, Nevin. Good afternoon to you, my friend. How are you?
All good. Been traveling.
Have we lost you, Nevin, already? Nevin, can you hear me? And we're having a few problems already on the show. Let me see. think we've lost Nevin. But if we've lost Nevin, it's a really good time to welcome a guest on our show. Akash, can you hear me? I think we're having a few problems with our Zoom here.
Okay.
This is the fun of doing these live streams when we have people all around the world. Let's see if we can get both of them back. We'll carry on with the show. And if I can ask both of you to probably log out and then log back in, and I'll do a bit of a carry on, as it were, speaking. But yeah, we welcome more guests onto the show. And if you do want to join the show, just message us and we'll see if we can get you on the show, because the more people that can join us, the better it will be. But we're having a few technical issues today, unfortunately. So let me see if we can turn this around. Just put it on hold for a second, and we'll see if we can get both of them in. Akash, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Right, I don't know what's happening today of all days when we get you on. This has never happened before, but I might have to send you a new link just to see if we can get it working. Is that okay?
Absolutely. So I'll log out with
Yeah, if
this
you
one.
log out. Yeah. Oh my goodness. This is the fun of connecting Delhi, Kerala, and the beautiful city of Leicester. All right.
I like how I like how Leicester is the most beautiful according to you, but
Well, yeah, I know. All right,
well,
let's.
Kerala offers serious competition. I'm sorry.
No, I can't argue with that. All right, let's go. Put our viewers and listeners out of their misery. Hello, we're back. We've got some technical issues that we had resolved. Thank you for bearing with us. I know we've got quite a few playbacks, but appreciate you sticking with us. I was in the middle of my introduction, but let's just get into the show. Nevin, good afternoon, my friend. How are you today?
All good in the middle of a trip, but I'm here on time for the podcast, so that's all that matters on a Sunday evening.
Yeah, absolutely, and I really appreciate. I know you're in the middle of a very busy period, and we'll talk about that sometime in the show as well. But how's your week been? Good.
Yeah, perfect, flawless. I mean, so far, I don't want to jinx it, but it's been good so far.
And Rohan will be happy that you're still wearing the shirt, so that's good. That's good. It's also a very warm welcome to our guest today, Akash. Welcome to the show. How are you today, Akash?
I'm very good. I hope you guys are well as well. So
Now, all of my listeners for the past 2 years will have noticed the colors Akash is wearing. Now, I've been doing the show, like I said, with Nevin for a few years, for a couple of years now, and I've been crying out for a fellow fox in living in India, and I've managed to trace him down. But when I did find him, I realized that he's not alone. There's a bit of a blue army that's growing in Leicester, in India, and we'll talk about that a bit more. And Akash, it's really good to have you on the show. I just wanted to prove to Nevin that the Blue Army is in existence in India because he's always telling me about all the top six following that India has. But
I mean, I've never denied the idea of a blue army per se, but just slightly different shade of blue.
Akash, just to fill you in, Nevin is a Chelsea fan, so it's the wrong shade of blue in our case. But
Yeah.
before we talk to Akash about himself and his passion for Leicester uh, and about football where he lives, and we have to start with the big game yesterday, the culmination of the Indian Super League. I just want your thoughts first, Nevin, on did you get a chance to see the final? What are your thoughts on the final and the ultimate winners?
What a strange final in some sense. I think three mistakes defined the match. For the two best teams to to fight it out in a final and then the title to be decided on mistake. I think that's the beauty of football as well, right? Not everything is perfect, and in that imperfection lies our passion for football. It's the unpredictability of it. I mean, a score line of 2-1 would have been predictable perhaps, but not necessarily. You who would have imagined Sergio Lobera relying on long balls for goals. I mean, that's not something we would have expected in his FC Goa team. He's changed himself. He's reinvented as a manager. I would say he's added that cutthroat spirit to his otherwise very exemplary coaching. ATK and Habas, I think they were a little. I thought they started really well. They had like a good pressing game going on. I thought they were really smart for their first goal, but unfortunately, again, mistakes at crucial points and. I feel bad for them. I do think ATK had the makings of a more of a cup team, and they could have made a name as well if they, continued their success of being like a more of a cup sort of a team than like a league team. But I mean, more than the final itself, I was just thinking back. I was just sitting back after the match, and I was thinking, wow, we managed an entire season without any glitch, and I think that's really cool. I mean, we know the world is still fighting a pandemic. We had our lockdowns, we had bio bubbles and whatnot, and to conduct a league like this with all the complications of being in India and pulling it off. I know I'm not really a big fan of FSDL and ISL, and I never miss out on any opportunity to criticize them. So I'm just taking this opportunity to say, well done.
No, I think that's an absolutely fair point to pull off this in such a difficult time, like you said, without any glitches. It's amazing, and big up to the players as well because they had to live in those conditions, come out day in day out, put in the performances. But yeah, FSDL and the federation, fantastic job in pulling this off. And quite rightly, I think Mrs. Ambani said that everyone should be proud. And absolutely, Akash, what were your thoughts on the final?
So the Hero ISL final was a bittersweet moment for me because originally I am from Kolkata and I am an East Bengal supporter.
Oh
And
wow, okay.
Mohan Bagan, Mohan Bagan was playing, and that's kind of salt in the wounds. But still, it's the Kolkata's team, so I was rooting for them somewhat. But the standout moment for me was personally that Amai got injured, and that was a brutal injury. They didn't show the replay, they didn't show anything, and it took quite a bit of time for the ambulance to get in, get him out, and he was passing out in the middle of the pitch, and the players' reactions were horrific. So that was my main concern. Apart from that, Arindam Bhattacharya, last season in February of 2019, I went in ATK's final game because after that they were playing the final in Goa, I suppose, and the COVID was starting. COVID was taking its place, and the final wasn't supposed to be attended by any fans. And I saw Arindam Bhattacharya play, and always when the ball is played up front into the pitch and ATK is attacking, he always comes out of his box. I don't know for what reason, and he just stands there, looms there until the opposition gets on a counter attack. Then he drags himself back into the box, tries to save a few balls. I don't know what that mentality is, and I thought by another year he would have developed that thing and rectified those mistakes because the game I went into it was versus Chennai and FC, and Chennai scored at the last minute of the game because Odindam was dispossessed, and similar mistakes happened in the last final game of the season. So they missed out on an opportunity just because Odindam Bhattacharya made two horrible mistakes that I did not anticipate at all.
Yeah, you make a very good point on Arindam, and we'll talk about that a bit more. But the main point, I think, it's Ame. That was really a frightening moment. And I'm glad they didn't show any replays. They don't show any replays of any bad tackles or injuries in the EPL, as you know. And I wasn't sure of the broadcasters in India, but I'm glad they followed the same principle of not showing. But it was really, really a scary moment. And the good news is we've seen a couple of social media posts of him in hospital. So that's really good to see. And I think it was good to see the medical staffs of both teams going there to help him because yeah, that was a very scary moment. And but our thoughts were with him for a quick recovery. And I think the players came out and played for him. I think they mentioned it afterwards that they were all shook up, but they wanted to play for him in the second half, Mumbai City. Nevin, you could see in Arindam when he won the Golden Glove award, it was a bittersweet moment for him. And Akash mentioned it. I mean, he was to blame for both of their goals. Really, really poor mistakes from
Yeah.
somebody who's won the Golden Glove. How do you explain that?
Strange because I kind of like him as a keeper, and I mean Akash has probably seen him more. I don't think I've probably seen like one match like at a stadium. Otherwise, I've been observing on TV, and like Akash said, these are things that we don't get to watch in a TV because we are constantly monitoring the ball and not what happens off it. So maybe this has always been a chink in the armor, and that's probably why Mumbai resorted to a lot more of long balls and try to exploit that flaw in him. But that said, I thought the first goal was a miscommunication in some sense. If he was going to come, he was probably like shouting to Terry that he's making a charge, but I don't know what was. I don't know if it is his positioning per se that is wrong here. I think it is communication. If he is charging, I think he should have just communicated because I think it's still the keeper's ball. If Terry had left it, it was easy for him to catch. And the second goal too, I don't know. After the goal, I there were a couple of close-ups of Arindam, and he seemed distraught. He
Yeah,
seemed like he was no longer in the match, and he was scared of the occasion or something. And that itself, that's not something you expect from an experienced keeper. And I was wondering, hey, he should be the last person who should be. I mean, I can understand if it's like a 21-year-old who's playing his first big, match, and
that was my
we
thought.
can,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm sort of like really worried for his mental state at that moment, and then to have a second error must have like really destroyed him. But now that this has been observed, and now that I'm just listening to Akash, maybe that is a reason why he's not in the national team, because I was surprised that he wasn't selected, and I thought it was unfair that he was not selected. But maybe this is something that the scouts and the coaches in the country have already observed and understood. Okay, Arindam had some flaws in him. So very interesting observation from Akash.
yeah. We talked about this on the show, and I think Ron was saying that he was very surprised his omission. But there were really glaring mistakes. I mean, even the comms were saying that they didn't hear any shout in terms of the first goal. And the second goal, I think it was panic. But like you said, for a 31-year-old who's played every single game in this ISL and he's got the experience, it was very surprising. Akash, that was very interesting in terms of your insight into Arindam. Obviously, you've seen him a lot more than I have, and by the sound of it, Nevin. Were you surprised when he wasn't called up in to the national team? And were you surprised? Well, you were obviously seeing that the development hasn't happened from his flaws last year to this year. Akash, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, and were you surprised when he wasn't selected for the national team, or you're not surprised considering the insight you gave us
I,
earlier?
w- I was I wasn't really surprised because his positioning is bad. I've seen that. I vouch for that, and I have seen him quite a lot. And I think in terms of goalkeeping and the commanding in charge, a goalkeeper should always be command of his defenders, right? So I think Gurpreet is a better selection than him because he had also the big match experience, like he played for Europa League for his Norwegian side. So yeah, maybe his positioning drawbacks keep him aside uh, for being selected as a national keeper.
And in terms of the final itself, obviously he'll be known for the injury to Ame and the errors, but I think he was also, in terms of performance, I was really, really impressed once again by Bipin. I thought he was outstanding in terms of his running and his commitment and his. What were your thoughts on that, Nevin, on his performance?
I think it summed it up. I mean, when he was keeping Farooq Chowdhury out of the team in the initial parts of the season, I was wondering, like, wow, Farooq was arguably the best Indian player last season, and a player in form, and a player that should have ideally suited Sergio Roberto's style of football. So to keep him out and constantly be this, he's perhaps, I know Apuya got it, but I thought he is right up there amongst the best Indian players of the season. And I mean, I don't know if you saw the tweet. I remember Coach Tongboy Singto talking about him in 2016 in a press conference in Chennai, and he had brought this shy young Vipin there, and introduce him to us journalists there, and we were all wondering because we didn't know. I mean, Lajong had better players back then, so we were expecting some of them, and no, he brought Vipin, and he said he's going to become a star one day, and I'm sure Coach Sangboy was actually sitting at the Kerala Premier League match between Kerala Blasters and Kerala United yesterday and doing his work, probably scouting other talents out there. But I'm sure he would have watched that final and felt some sense of, hey, finally one of my product has reached the potential. I mean, it's up to Bipin to obviously continue doing this. I mean, we don't want to hype him up for one season and just lose him. But I think he's got the right head on his shoulders, this perfect attitude, ability wise, top notch. And that is not an easy goal by any stretch of
No,
imagination.
I was
Imagine
just
the pressure. Yeah, to calmly slot it in the right place, because there are like multiple defenders and goalkeeper jumping in front, and Ogbeche too. That's a senior player. He's kind of taking it off Ogbeche. To have that confidence is stellar stuff, and I hope he goes on to do this for many years and produce the same kind of magic for the national team as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think was it Boom who missed pretty much an open goal for him just a few minutes earlier. But
Mm.
yeah, the goal I thought he took really well, Akash, with his left foot under pressure in the last minute. The pressure's even intensified, but he was calm as anything and faced it.
I would like to know your opinions on the goal that was cancelled for Mohan Bagan, the offside one.
I thought it was offside. I thought he was in. He was offside when the kick went when the free kick went in, and I think he was in the sight of the goalkeeper. But that's my opinion. I'm going with the comms there. I tend to agree with them. Nevin,
Yeah, same. I also agree. It's not like they've given so much clarity on why this decision was made, but I can kind of think that is the reason. It wasn't as blatant as we've seen a lot of other. I mean, we've seen referee mistakes throughout the season. So considering
well,
that, I don't think this. I know the consequence is larger, so considering it's a final, but I didn't think it was a very blatant mistake. If not, like it's a
but I think
50-50.
Mumbai might say was it a penalty on Pippin?
I thought that was a fair shot.
Akash, what are your thoughts on both of those?
Um, I thought because in the offside situation, the defender really put the ball into his own his back of the net. I mean his own goal. So I don't know if it's an own goal. Should you consider that Roy Krishna was offside? And
If he was in the sight of the goalkeeper, if he was putting the goalkeeper off,
yeah, it
then
looked like it. It was.
that's their justification, or the comms rather, not the officials.
I understand that, but still, in the final, those calls are always going to be controversial because it takes really a certain amount of courage to call those on spot, and they don't have replays. So, according to me, if there was a VAR check and available, that would have been great, or maybe not. I don't know.
I'm not sure India's ready for VAR. Did you think Bipin was fouled? Was that a penalty for you, Akash?
Yeah, that was the penalty. That was for sure.
So if
I
you
agree
look at
with
it,
you.
swings and roundabouts, you don't know if the penalty is going to be scored or not, but you could see it from both sides. In terms of ATK, you have the Golden Glove winner, you have the top scorer. They're always there or thereabouts. You've got to feel for them in terms of how the manner of losing in the last minute is never nice. But I thought they played really well first half. The pressing was there. I thought if it went into extra time, like you said, Nevin earlier, Mumbai seemed to be playing long balls. Maybe they knew about the goalkeeper. We don't know, but it seemed to be a different Mumbai. But it was a different ATK. It seemed to be the ATK from the second leg of the playoffs.
Yeah.
But how do you see their season and how they performed this year?
I thought they had a good season. I mean, considering the money they spent to have won nothing is always sad for them. I mean, not for us. But I don't know. This is the risk that you have with Habas football. It's always very fine margin when you try to win a match 1-0, or like by like always kind of reliant on their clean sheets and stuff like that. You can't afford to make a mistake at all. So I think that is the biggest takeaway for ATK. I mean, you have so much talent in that side. Why not play a little more attractive, or a more flamboyant brand of football? I know I don't think Habas is going to ever change. This is who he is. I wouldn't be surprised if they sat in the summer, the management, and thought, do you need to push forward in terms of our ideology, or should we stick with Habas? And mind you, I'm not saying Habas is a bad manager at all. As a Chelsea supporter, I kind of started liking my team when Mourinho was having his early years with the side, and I mean Chelsea were doing pretty much the same thing. So this is not to criticize Habas, but for a team with so much talent that their B team can probably challenge for a trophy. Um, to be playing this kind of football, I think they should really, think hard and strategize. And I thought the final was it was their game. I feel because Mumbai wasn't looking all that confident early on. They
No.
were pressing hard and they were finding chinks in the armors of Jahu and Fall and players like that. So the strategy was spot on initially, but why did they take it off? Why couldn't they sustain it? Or did you would you have wanted Habas to have like a more attacking option out there? So yeah, I don't know. It's a very tricky one to sum up, but I would say I wouldn't be surprised if ATK management sat together and really thought, hey, do you want the team to become this defensive unit and make a name that way, or do you want to move forward in terms of ideology?
Yeah, and it'll be interesting in the summer, Akash, in terms of the mid statement by bringing Bingham into the side, just reinforcing the squad that's Nevin has already mentioned. There's probably got a B team that could challenge. But in terms of retaining their players, I don't think they've got any issues with the finances. But how crucial is it that they keep Williams and Krishna up front?
They should retain those two players because they have been in the system for 2-3 years now, and already ATKMB merger got them a championship side because one was the winner of the ISL, another of I League, so they already have a championship team. Yesterday, when they did not win that match, I felt like Mohan Bagan lost the match as much as Mumbai won. And to put into perspective, they should, I think, continue with the system because until Hawass stays, I think similar kind of football will be played until they see a change in the management. And Roy Krishna is a spectacular player. If you judge him based on his solo performances, he is of a certain caliber player that I don't think we have seen such a player after Ian Hume. Hume was a terrific player, and ATK have him as a prized possession. I don't think they're gonna let him go to any club whatsoever. And I've got an interesting question for you guys. What do you feel about this? Because yesterday was the final of ISL, right? And it went without spectators. But on the same hand, the T20 cricket match is getting 60K audiences. How does that work? I mean, cricket is getting all the fame and attention that uh, it has always been getting, and football, a final of this level, doesn't get a single spectator allowed into the ground. Why
Uh,
are we one side biased on one side and just allowing all sort of nonsense in the cricket side?
my view is that if you opened it up, um, if you might have risked Mumbai City fans coming into Goa, you might have risked people from Kolkata going into Goa. So I'm not sure if Goa would have been ready for that. I don't know. That's just my personal view. Whereas in cricket, you're going to get just the local crowd. You're not going to get many people from outside the city or maybe outside the state coming in to watch that game. Nevin, what do you think?
Literally everybody from India is going to Goa anyway. so I don't buy that reason. Everybody's chilling in Goa. But I mean, can I just smile as the answer? Because you would never get to know these answers at all. You mean, it just he's got a valid point. Why was it not allowed? Why was it not thought of? I can only think of it being already decided and they're just carrying on with it. And nah, I mean, for players to have sat through a bio bubble throughout the series and then um, you know risk everything in the final match, could that have possibly played a role? I don't know. I mean, you can only guess these things. I would have ideally loved for the season to end with a lot more of people around. That would have given some sense of closure to a very difficult ISL season. But honestly, I don't know the answer to it. I can
Well,
only guess.
just to give you a bit of insight here, you probably already know that they're looking at allowing crowds for the last two EPL games, around 10,000. We'll see if that
Mhm.
actually happens. And I think they've also allowed the FA Cup final will be a test event with 20 or 30,000. I think they've announced that as well. So yeah, it could happen, but yeah, it's one. that we won't know the answer to, Akash, but it is a fair point, like Nevin says. But talking of the champions, and they are worthy champions, the Shield winners, and obviously the win yesterday. Is this the result of City Group, or did Mumbai City were in that progression of becoming a top team in India? Nevin.
Um, both. I mean, I don't think Mumbai was anyway close to becoming a top side before the City Group took over. I mean, they had always shown potential, but never like a consistent top four finish or anything. They brought a system. They just didn't buy players. They brought us Lubera's tried and tested system in terms of getting the players he wanted. Also, they brought Jahu, Gumu, Fall, Mandar, top players. Then you also have the likes of Farouk coming in. Farouk did leave in the end. Vipin had a great season. So they brought in a system that was guaranteed for success. And so in some ways, when some people accused Citigroup of buying the league, it is true. But they were allowed to do that, and they have the space to do that. And considering the space that we are in terms of Indian football, to have money flowing in Indian football is always nice because that sort of it's a trickle down economy, and it will help the smaller teams as well at some point, if not immediately. So I think it's a complex system. I'm not saying City was a bad team, but City was nothing close to this. This is a very lethal winning mentality team, and I felt good for those players as well. I think they were all superb in Goa, and they perhaps deserved a title with Goa for them to come and win both the league and the title, the cup. I mean, it must have felt nice. I mean, we've been doing this podcast for almost 2 years now, and um, I am a big Jahu fan for all his theatrics and all the drama he does. I think he's a brilliant footballer, one of the best I've watched with my own naked eyes. And so, I mean, I know he's not the most easiest to love. I think he's somewhere like a Suarez that way. Exceptional talent, but not necessarily the best behavior. But for him to win a trophy also, I felt quite nice. And so, again, this was more to do with sort of a closure. Like, hey, there's a nice ending. Because I don't see a lot of these players returning to India next time around. Because I do think Citigroup will again put money. They'll again probably invest in younger alternatives to these players. And because I even for Jahu, I thought he was struggling towards the end of the season, and I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't turn up for the next time around. So
That'll
yeah,
be a huge loss if they don't come back, because Yahoo does shore up that midfield and defense and the tackles he puts in, and the long ball that got them the goal, even though it's through a mistake. But just carrying on with that analogy and Citigroup, Akash, Sergio Lobera has now won pretty much everything in India since he's been there. My question is, do you think he's the equivalent of Pep in the sense that he needs the top players, and that's he's winning all these trophies? So do you think he could go to, with the greatest respect, to Jamshedpur and bring out the best in all the players that he would have around him there, or does he need these top players?
Probably yes, because he has the trophies and the results to prove it, and his management skills have undoubtedly been great, and it works in this system. And yesterday's win just emphasizes that. And drawing analogies with Pep, well, I have got a vendetta against Pep because people claim that he is the best manager, but I don't think they should say that, because he has always been heavily invested with the top teams, and I don't know how much of a managerial caliber that requires to do, because he has been with Barcelona, Bayern Munich, and Manchester City. Those are rich teams, those are top tier teams. But managers such as Jose Mourinho, they won the Champions League with Porto. Those things demand a certain level of respect. Also, Marcelo Bielsa recently promotion of Leeds, that was a spectacular story in itself. So I don't think that until and unless Pep Guardiola challenges himself with a smaller club with a tighter budget, that's where the main managerial skills comes, because Manchester City as of now doesn't even know their best 11, and they can always rely on any player. They can randomly select a back defensive line because everybody plays great and everybody is a 40, 50, 60 million player. So until and unless you are tight with that, because if you compare it with, okay, we'll get to Premier League when you say. I'm not gonna start
No,
that
that is
right
a
now.
very controversial statement you've made. It's often brought up in talk shows and call-ins here in England about Pep, and nobody. I mean, if you speak to the pundits and all the experts, they are. He is the best manager by a long way. And they're comparing him to Sir Alex because the only difference is Sir Alex didn't do it outside Man United. Obviously, he had the Aberdeen before, but in terms of Pep, I don't think anybody will accept here, unless you're not a Man City fan, that he wins trophies. He brings the best out of the players. I take your point. I disagree with your point actually. Now that you bring it up, in the sense that I think he is a top manager. He does, just because you buy top players doesn't mean that they'll. I mean, look at Chelsea now. The money they spend in the summer.
Rub it in, didn't you?
Sorry, Nevin.
Yeah, thanks. No, I'm saying you had to rub it in. Chelsea bit.
No. I think, and you mentioned he can play any team. I think he's brought in that system where, look at Stones. Stones took a couple of years to adapt to the Pep way, and now he's reaping the rewards. He has to play in the way the Pep wants him. I think he is tough with the players. I think he's
If
very
I may,
demanding.
if I may just interrupt there and ask Akash this question, why do you think all these big guns, Barcelona, Bayern, and City, are investing so many millions per Pep? Isn't that in some sense, they trust this guy and he must be so good if they're pouring all those millions on this guy, right?
Personally, I think that he is an artist who paints only with expensive set of art paint brushes, and
But that doesn't make him a less of an artist in any way.
that doesn't. But it's harsh to compare him to a manager who has done it with a smaller budget, smaller club, higher
But like
expectations.
you said, Bielsa is a good manager. But what are
Yes,
his achievements?
his achievement to me personally, his achievements are that he plays a robust kind of football.
Is
That
it? I
that
mean, I've seen Man United score so many against them.
No, I'm not talking about. They have not adapted well in the Premier League. That's for sure. But from the last two three seasons, the 2 seasons, the way Bielsa played with dignity, with robustness, and he didn't care about his defensive line, because he in his mind he thinks that if the opposition scores 3 goals, he will score 4, and that's a
But why
mentality.
do we need to? I mean, why do we need to highlight it as a great thing? I mean, so consider this: somebody like a Sam Allardyce has saved many clubs from relegation. That's really cool, right?
That's equally a great achievement as well. But
Akash,
Yeah,
yeah,
Bharat, if I somehow my charger is not working, so my phone might just switch off at any point.
all right, okay. We will carry on as long as we can. But Akash, just on your point, I think that if you put Pep in charge of PSG, although he'll win titles with his second team, I think he will challenge. When you look at the money PSG have invested in players, their managers have just not brought the title that they want with his Champions League. I know Pep hasn't with Man City and Bayern Munich up till now, but I think that's the difference between a Pep and different managers who have spent a lot of money but not got the results they wanted. But I don't want to disagree too much with the fellow Fox, but it's a fair point, and it's a conversation piece that we should do in the summer, definitely. I think we've lost Nevin there, which is unfortunate, but we'll carry on, Akash, because it comes to the main uh, part of the show, and that is the shirt that you're wearing. If really good to hear yours. Well, before we come to that, I've just lost my train of thought when we went on to talk about Pep and what have you. You mentioned that you're from Kolkata and you're an East Bengal fan. How was your season? How did you view East Bengal? I mean, it was a very last minute entrance into the ISL. It wasn't expected for a long time. Um, and you got a big name as a manager there who always gave us content with his views and his opinions on the show. How did you view East Bengal's first season?
So it was our inception season, and the squad was put into a hurry, and at the last moment, as you said, the inception of the team was done, and they got Robbie Fowler in, but it took quite a bit of time for Robbie Fowler to recognize his best 11. Also, the players that we got weren't that good, I would say, because the first game, and also that doesn't help that the first game that we had was a derby, and they had this championship side. They won all the trophies there is to win in the previous season, and we are introduced into the league with a derby, and that's never a good sign. The players were not that confident, but well, then they got thrashed, and since then the team has been trying to rebuild and escape that last position, and they have done that. Also, they have found a gem of a striker
Yeah,
in the name of Bright,
yeah,
and I think ISL should do this more because they should bring in young talents who who are not really recognized by their academies, but they are good in this system and they can also learn and develop, because here you get certain players who has done it all and who has played at a championship level or Premier League level. They can learn from them, and also they can facilitate their career further on. So personally, I think the season wasn't good, but it's not as bad as we expected it to be.
yeah. Considering the preseason or lack of a preseason, and but one final point on that, and we will talk about East Bengal more because hopefully you'll come back on the show again. But did you think there was a team being built for the I League? Did you agree with Robbie Fowler when he said that?
Can you repeat your question?
Did you agree with Robbie Fowler's statement that that team was being built or was created for the I League? It wasn't ready for the ISL, the squad.
It wasn't ready for the ISL. I understand that, but I don't think that. I mean, a few more addition to the squad would definitely would have benefited the squad. I think they looked very weak in attack. The midfield was good. The defense was okayish, but overall the attack system, we didn't have an a proper attack, because JJ wasn't playing. He was benched by Robbie Fowler. We brought Bright at the middle of the season, and then he impressed. It was too late. Uh, I think a few more additions, and then top four finish would be a possibility for this side as well.
And would you like Robbie back? I know he's on a 2-year contract, but you don't know his contract's in ISL.
Not a big fan of his managerial ways, but I'll take it. Obviously, I'll take it because the team was looking to build on a certain foundation. So why change the system if it's slowly building and rising up?
Absolutely, yeah. And like I said, he always brings his content with his views and opinions, and it's cost him a few amounts of money. I think he's been fined for a few of those opinions. Which we didn't agree with, by the way. But we'll talk about him and East Bengal in a bit more. But moving to the colours that you're wearing, obviously it makes me incredibly happy to see those colours anywhere in the world, but especially back home. How and when did you start supporting the Mighty Foxes?
I started to support the Foxes at the start of 2018.
Okay.
Not right after they won the season, but at the time that they were like dropping down, not being consistent with managers, changing managers. It was a very bad time because Riyad Mahrez was leaving. We didn't find the right amount of replacements to reinstate our squad, and it was a bad time. But that's the fun of football. Like if you support, I personally feel that if you support a mid-tier team or a team that is not famous for its history or winning or surviving always in the first division, I think that is a great way to support a team, because you learn through the hardships, through the joys, and slowly you grow with the club. That's my point. And when those sweet victories come in, those taste a lot sweeter
Oh,
with this
trust
kind
me.
of milk. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen them in Division One, as you know, and you're absolutely right. They do mean a lot more. But in terms of why Leicester?
because I remember I was watching this game. Jamie Vardy was going to score his 11th or 12th against Manchester United to beat
Yes.
Ruud van Nistelrooy's goal. I saw that and I went crazy for this team. But I was I was giving my board exams and all that, so I couldn't follow. And I don't like to just associate myself with a team and don't follow their journey. So after 2011, 2018, I got proper time to watch football, invest in the team, know about the history, culture, what their philosophy is, and then build a solid foundation and connection with the team. And since then, I don't think they have disappointed. They have slowly risen back again. And it's a gradual process, but not an exponential rise as we did in 2016. But definitely, we're getting back into the top three. I would say, not top four.
I
This is
think
where
this
we
is a
are.
lot more a solider foundation after the Premier League win. I think Brendan is building a team uh, that looks set for the next few years if we can retain our players, which I think we will. But you mentioned that Vardy's goal. I remember Christian Fuchs' pass for that one. That's what, in my memory of that particular goal, it was a brilliant moment and to witness. But how do you think last season? What were your thoughts after missing out on the Champions League?
It's hard because we were doing so great. We were in the top two, top three position, challenging for the. No, I will not say challenging for the title because Liverpool won it
Quite a long
in the
distance.
middle of the season
Mm.
almost, and we were there. We were contesting for the Champions League spot, and it was secured at one point. Then COVID happened, and we got the worst of it because our squad got injured. Ricardo Pereira, Chilwell, everybody got injured. Madison got injured, and slowly after the restart, I don't think we played well at all. Our system was shaken up. Then I remember in a game, Sonchu got a red card. Casper conceded
Away
goal.
to
I think it was
Bournemouth.
against Bournemouth. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was against Bournemouth. And then at the final day of the season, if you're facing Manchester United, it's always a gamble. You can't be sure that you're getting the spot because Manchester United had the reverse effect of the lockdown
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
we did because they
Mm.
just bounced back up and we just dropped down and we kept dropping down. But I
Mm.
think we're still lucky because we qualified for Europa League, and I think as the team was back then, Europa League spot was not very good, but we'll take it. I mean, it was a good season. It gave our club a bit of recognition again in the European competition back in Europe, and we start to build up from there.
Yeah, I agree, and I was really happy with the Europa League. It's at the start of the season, on all the forums, we were saying, seventh, eighth, challenging with sixth would be a good season for us. But because of the start we had up to the restart in July, the expectations obviously rose. But I was really happy with the Europa League. I don't know how we would have got on with that squad in the Champions League. Progressing in the Europa League through the group stages was a realistic um, uh, option for us, and we came through it. And I think it's been a good learning curve for the club. In terms of this season, we are the only club that's not been out of the top four, which is unbelievable for our club. And I think when you consider the injuries we've had, it's been an unbelievable season again. What have you made of this season?
Well, to build up from missing out the Champions League spot to directly transition into this season, it was tough because several of our players were initially out, Madison, Ricardo Pereira, and then we lost Chilwell to Chelsea. And I
I
don't
wasn't too
like,
unhappy about losing him.
me too, because I really like the young players that we develop in our
Yeah.
academy. And when they leave, I just don't see the point because we are a proper top four side now. And out of all of us, the players should recognize it more because they play for the team, they play for the
Mm.
badge, and they should know that it's a proper top four side, and they can contest for the title if they stay.
Mm.
And previously, also we saw several players after we won the title leave, like Kante and Drinkwater, Riyad Mahrez, everybody leave. But not everybody was happy after leaving, because their form sort of dropped, and that will always be the case, because when you go to a rich club, a top four club as they're called, you will face competition for your role. You will have to strike for your minutes. You are comfortable in
Mm,
this situation. You are playing with your known acquaintances, and all of a sudden, under a new system, new pressure, and you have to justify the price tag that you were brought in. And we sell players at a higher price tag than they actually deserve. I feel that, because Harry Maguire is no way he is 80 million, and we do a great business, and that's one of the reasons that I love this club so much, because they're so economical with their investments.
mm,
They don't always pay off like Slimani and a few others. They don't always pay off, but when they do, that's remarkable. And so this season, a lot of injuries kept on happening, re-happening, and we lost Jamie Vardy. Despite of losing all of our attacking options, I think we still snatched a points or two or three from all the opportunities that we were given. We lost a few games that were easy, that were expected that we'll win, against Burnley, Aston Villa, Fulham. But at the same time, nobody expected us to beat Manchester City, Liverpool, draw with
yeah.
Manchester United at the dying moments of the game,
Win at
beat
Arsenal, win at
Tottenham.
Tottenham. Yeah, absolutely. Just a couple of points on that one. Chilwell, he lost a lot of fans at the end of his career here because of his attitude towards wanting a move. He wasn't, and the way he was too friendly with some of the opposition players after the games, it didn't go down well here. Slimani, I do feel for him. I don't think we played his natural game. He's that the guy in the box.
He
We have
didn't
to
fit
play.
in this system actually.
Yeah. When we played to his strengths, he came through for us, and I think I do feel for him. I think he could have done a job for us. It's good to see Kel back on the scoring sheets. I think that'll be a good confidence boost for him in the latter part of the season. A big question in terms of people in India or outside. What's more important to you guys, top four or the FA Cup?
Uh, I would say FA Cup,
Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad.
because
Yes,
that's a realistic approach to the game. I think a silverware would boost up the confidence of a team. Champions League is that you are going to face you're going to have a grueling next season. You are not going to get proper rest. If
Mm,
it's up to me, I will always take FA Cup, because it's a prestigious trophy. It adds to the
mm.
value of the club, and there's a silverware, guaranteed silverware
Yeah, most
for
Leicester
the club.
fans here, if you ask them in the city, that's the one trophy they want. I mean, from a young age, it's one trophy that we all wanted to win. We know the history. We've been in four finals and lost, but the FA Cup is the big one. So that's the big game next Sunday. It's going to be a late one for you. It's 5 o'clock here, so it'll be quite late for you guys, but I'm sure you'll be staying up. What is the fan base like in India in terms of Leicester?
It's growing. I mean, like, I am a fan of football, and I my favorite players are Lionel Messi and Zlatan Ibrahimovic. So I've got their last jerseys here,
They're
and
fantastic.
yeah. So, and my favorite club is Leicester. So people don't get why do I don't support these clubs. So yeah, that's a passion that you need to reignite inside yourself. You have to see through the lens of a fan. And I know here almost 99% of the people support. Uh, I think 30% of them support other clubs, but the rest of them support Manchester United. I mean, it has been a household name. Everybody, those who don't even know all the players, support the club, and it gets a massive recognition. And Leicester fans are coming up because they see the football. The fans of Leicester here are the real passionate football fans. They are not hungry for a trophy. They are not supporting just the club to look cool, to be famous. None of that. They just love the club, and they are passionate about the team. They know each individual. They are having constant debates who should start in each game, whether Ilnacho should get more opportunities or the manager should trust Vardy up front. And there is all sorts of debate 24/7. Also in Twitter, I see a lot of fans growing slowly but steadily.
That's really great to hear, and hopefully we can get a lot more fans on the show, because there's nothing I like better than talking to fellow Leicester fans around the world. We've got a big game today against a club that's just sacked their manager yesterday, which has not gone down well with anybody, including me. I think it was really unfair on Chris Wilder. What do you think of the game today? Especially with Chelsea dropping 2 points yesterday, and we've got a few players coming back: Johnny Evans, Jose Perez, and the big one for me is Dennis Pratt. I think he's a brilliant, brilliant player. What do you think of the game today against Sheffield?
I think Dennis is going to start from the bench, and the main concern is the attacking perspective. So Dennis Pratt coming in surely gives us the edge over Sheffield, and in Premier League it's never an easy game, even without their manager. Despite they are at the bottom of the table, still it's a risky game for us because it's at home, and we have been terrible in this season at home. I don't know why that is, but yeah, and the game's in 2.5 hours, and I feel that we're going to see Cleshi Iheanacho get another one today.
I hope so. I think last week's performance wasn't good, but the result was so huge, beating Brighton away. I think we did some calculations. We need around 70 points to get into the top four. So 3 points today will help towards that total. Akash, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. Really, really great insight into the ISL, into the players that play there, and and obviously your love of the Mighty Foxes. I can't thank you enough, and I really hope you'll come back on the show so we can talk a lot more about the mighty Leicester City, because whenever I have Nevin on the show, it is about Chelsea. So I want to try and reduce that.
All right. It's been a pleasure from my side as well. I hope today we win.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Thank you, Akash. You stay safe, and we'll talk soon again. Thank you so much.
Okay, goodbye.
Akash, you there?
Yeah.
Give me a second.